I mean, he's better than Ricky Rubio, but he doesn't look special to me.
I think Marvin Bagley's interesting too.
Okay, now I would draft him number 1.
Could Hasheem Thabeet be the final piece of somebody's puzzle?
His footwork could translate to another great center by Hakeem Olajuwon.
You're talking about a project. You got Willie Cauley-Stein. You passed up on him. You got Justice Winslow, who I think is the steal of the draft.
He's not going to be just a stand-up shooter that you stick him in the corner. I think he's a potential all-star. I legitimately do.
How about this for a comparison with Andrew Wiggins? The next Kobe Bryant.
What's up, guys? Mike here, and because the NBA draft just happened, I felt like it was the perfect time to put out this video. Because as you just saw, today we are going to be looking at the worst NBA draft predictions and analysis of all time. Trust me when I say, guys, there are some absolutely absurd comparisons here. A lot of people were dead wrong with a lot of picks. This was a very entertaining video to make. So before we get into it, I just want to say, please leave a like on this video. It helps out a ton with YouTube's algorithm, and make sure to subscribe and turn on post notifications so you never miss a video. Also, the winner of the giveaway will be announced next week. I'll be talking about that in the final part of the what if, but for now, let's get into these horrible comparisons. Just a disclaimer, in this video, I want to try and skip over injuries with guys like Greg Oden, because sure, people said this about Greg Oden.
The best center prospect since Patrick Ewing is Greg Oden, a guy who's got tremendous upside. He's a special player, and he's absolutely a winner.
Oden is just a physical specimen. You don't see someone like this come out of college basketball all that often.
But how was the media supposed to predict Greg Oden's injury or the injuries of other players like him? In the games Greg Oden played, he was great, and I think we can all agree that the worst busts are the guys who have absolutely no excuse. The guys who were perfectly healthy but were just terrible anyway. Which means we're gonna start off in the 2018 draft and work our way backwards. And wouldn't you know it, we've got Colin Cowherd.
I mean, he's better than Ricky Rubio, but he doesn't look special to me.
How Colin Cowherd said he didn't see anything special in Luka Doncic after watching him become the youngest EuroLeague MVP ever at the age of 19 is of course absurd. Cowherd would go on to say,
he doesn't pop athletically.
Which is true, Luka does not pop athletically, but basketball is about a lot more than just athleticism, and seeing as Luka already at the age of 22 was named to the first team All-NBA means I don't think his athleticism has mattered too much here.
My thing is, when I watch these guys, I like the draft. I watched the combine this weekend. I just don't see a lot of special. The kid at Arizona,
he's got a shot.
There's a little Greek freak there. There's a little, whoa, oh, okay.
Okay, so a lot to unpack here. First off, the 2018 NBA draft already looks like one of the best drafts in a long time. We've got Luka, Trae, DeAndre Ayton, Michael Porter Jr., Shea, Colin Sexton, Mikal Bridges. All of these guys have already made an impact just 3 seasons in, so it is clear to me we're going to end up with multiple special players in this draft. As for his DeAndre Ayton comparison, DeAndre Ayton plays nothing like Giannis at all. DeAndre is not out here dribbling the ball. He's not grabbing a rebound, taking off in transition, and then dunking on someone's head. I don't know where Colin Cowherd got this.
I think Marvin Bagley's interesting too.
Okay, now I would draft him number 1. He's the Duke kid. Yeah. He is the one guy I would say, all right, that's my number 1 pick.
To me, this is really funny because the first time that Colin Cowherd gets excited in this video is with Marvin Bagley. Now, if today we were to redraft the 2018 draft, Bagley would probably not be in the top 7, and he definitely would not be the number 1 pick. In fact, I'll say it, the Kings selecting Marvin Bagley over Luka Doncic and Trae Young is going to go down as one of the worst NBA draft mistakes of all time. Now, does Marvin Bagley still have potential? Sure. But I am very confident he's not going to ever be better than Luka or Trae. And again, the fact that Colin Cowherd really only got excited about Marvin Bagley here tells me that he had no idea what he was talking about with this draft, which would be fine, except
Michael Porter's a guy that, you know, I think
I don't know enough about him.
As you can see right here, Colin Cowherd fully admits he has not watched enough of Michael Porter Jr. to form an opinion. That is respectable, that's fine. However, that also means that he does believe he's seen enough of the other players that have already been mentioned to form an opinion, and as we all know, those opinions were horrible. But before we continue, guys, I'm very excited to say that someone I've worked with a long time, SeatGeek, is back and sponsoring this video. And honestly, they couldn't be coming back at a better time because live events are back and SeatGeek has all the deals you could possibly want. Whether it's basketball, baseball, football, concerts, festivals, or you name it, SeatGeek puts tickets from all over the web and puts them all in one place for you to get the best deal possible. Buying with SeatGeek is very simple, and personally, my favorite thing is on SeatGeek, they rate every single ticket from 0 to 10, so you know that you are getting the best deal imaginable. And when you're on the app looking at tickets, SeatGeek also gives you a preview of the seat you're about to buy. And also, guys, this is really a no-brainer because SeatGeek is hooking you guys up. If you go and download SeatGeek and use the promo code 2KMike, you are going to get $20 off your first order. That is $20 off your first purchase using the promo code 2KMike. An awesome deal. I know you guys are excited to go watch live sports again, so make sure you go click the link in the description. Make sure you go download SeatGeek, use my promo code, get $20 off. And with that said, let's continue with the video. Moving on here in this draft to Trae Young.
I believe he would get better with development in college against players more on his own level. Because if you think it's tough to play in the backcourt in college, do you know what it's going to be like in the NBA? It's going to be brutal.
To be fair to Max Kellerman, a lot of times I do agree with his takes. However, he was very off here. Trae averaged 19.1 points per game and 8.1 assists per game as a rookie, and then he averaged almost 30 points per game with 9.3 assists per game in his second season. For Max to say that Trae needed to stay in college and play against players that were at his level was way off here. To be fair, he still believed in Trae a bit, but he definitely did not believe in him nearly enough.
I'm laughing at any analyst who thinks that Trae Young is remotely comparable to Steph Curry because he shouldn't be uttered in the same breath.
Maybe 5-6 years in,
He will not. He will not.
Okay, so Steph Curry is one of the greatest point guards of all time, so I get why Skip was wary of comparing Trae to Steph, but Skip just straight up disrespected Trae here. Not even uttered in the same breath. At the age of 22, Trae just averaged 25.3 points per game and 9.4 assists per game while leading his team to the Eastern Conference Finals. Steph, at the age of 22, averaged 18.6 points per game and 5.8 assists per game, and his team won just 36 games. So of course, I'm not insane. I'm not saying Trae will be better than Steph, but it's obvious here that Skip was just dead wrong. Moving to the 2017 draft now, we know that this was a mess. So let's look at Markelle Fultz first.
Markelle Fultz, it's remarkable how much he is like James Harden in the way that he plays. He's essentially a James Harden clone on the offensive end.
With Markelle, we just heard a James Harden comparison, which was actually very common at this point in time. Bleacher Report also had a James Harden comparison for Markelle, where they went as far as to say Fultz should put a significant distance between himself and Harden on the defensive end. He checked out for possessions at a time while repping Washington, but he stuck in front of eruptive drives and made some nice off-ball contests when his two-way switch was flipped. Which, summed up, means that Bleacher Report was both comparing Markelle Fultz to James Harden offensively and said he'd be better defensively. That was quite a comparison, and as we all know, Markelle has not developed into the talent we thought he would be. To be fair, he does still have time to develop, but his recent injury certainly has not helped at all in that regard. A huge talking point I want to bring up though is that in terms of the James Harden comparison, ever since he took the court as an NBA player, I have not exactly thought that Markelle Fultz has been a James Harden light. Markelle Fultz playstyle has not really reminded me of James Harden at all, especially when it comes to drawing fouls. The most free throw attempts Markelle Fultz has taken in a single season so far has been 2.4 a game in this year, his fourth season, while as for James Harden, he averaged 10 free throws a game in his fourth season, so to me, this one is in close.
This comparison has been made. Kidd was the consummate leader. Well, they stack up like a carbon copy. He's basically Jason Kidd.
With Lonzo Ball, I get the Jason Kidd comparisons coming in, I guess. Lonzo was never really as explosive in the open court as Jason Kidd was, but they were both seen as great playmakers coming into the NBA. Just like with Markelle though, I don't want to write Lonzo off. Sometimes point guards do need more time to develop, but as of now, Jason Kidd made the All-Star team in his second season, and Lonzo has not come close to that. Also, yes, I know, Lonzo Ball is Steph Curry with a 40-inch vertical. I am a part of this video. I personally made one of the worst draft predictions of all time. Looking at the rest of this draft though.
The most famous lefty I know, the former commander-in-chief. Had to give a shout to the lefty.
Did I just see De'Aaron Fox get compared to Elfrid Payton? That was way off. De'Aaron is a borderline all-star at this point as he just averaged over 25 points per game, and even in his second season, he had a better year than Elfrid Payton ever did.
At 6'3", 195, here's another guy. Stevie Franchise.
Strangely enough, a lot of people were hyping up Dennis Smith Jr. here over De'Aaron Fox, going as far as to compare Dennis Smith Jr. to all-stars like Steve Francis. And after his rookie season where he averaged over 15 points per game, there was hope for this, but somehow that rookie season has been Dennis Smith Jr.'s best season of his career at this point, and if I'm being honest, I don't really think he's going to come back and become an all-star ever. Quickly looking at the 2016 draft,
he is the most dynamic point guard in this draft.
And being a competitor, you can tell he's a little bit disappointed.
No doubt about it, Chris Dunn is the best guard in this draft.
All I've got to say is Chris Dunn, John Wall, really? really? And of course he was a Chicago Bull. Moving on, we're in the 2015 draft and we all know what's coming right now.
He looks like an extra in a Dolph Lundgren movie that Jay Billis once starred in.
And then after this pick took place, Stephen A. Smith went absolutely off.
The unmitigated gall, the disgusting proclamation that you did a great job because you cleaned up the house by tanking the season. We have been hoodwinked, bamboozled, led astray, run amok, and flat out deceived.
No matter what you think about Kristaps Porzingis on the Dallas Mavericks, with the Knicks, he absolutely shocked the basketball world with his quick rise to an all-star level of play. Porzingis did make the all-star team in just his 3rd season, and going forward, we're going to see if he can get back to that all-star form with Luka, or maybe he finds another team. I don't know, but the way that Stephen A. Smith was talking about Kristaps after he got drafted, you would have thought that the Knicks drafted me with the 4th pick instead of a future all-star. Speaking of bad takes, listen to these from the 2014 draft.
Andrew Wiggins, now you're talking real star power. This is the best athlete in the draft.
He could stop just about any wing in the NBA right now.
You're talking about 2 guys, in my opinion, that are going to be Hall of Famers.
Future Hall of Famers, and as you heard in the beginning of this video,
how about this for a comparison with Andrew Wiggins? The next Kobe Bryant.
The next Kobe Bryant. That's a hashtag bold statement.
Yes, we just heard Andrew Wiggins get compared to Kobe Bryant. Now, Andrew Wiggins was known as Maple Jordan at one point, but as we all know, that has certainly not worked out at all. Being transparent here, a lot of people believed in Andrew Wiggins, of course. Obviously, these takes just look horrible. I do want to mention though, Jabari is a man that has suffered through injuries, and I said in the beginning of this video that I didn't really want to include players that were hurt, but regardless of Jabari getting hurt or not, I do not think he was ever going to reach a Hall of Fame level like this man thought. Going on, we are at the 2011 draft, and we have Jimmer Fredette.
Let me talk first about Jimmer Fredette. That kid is smooth.
He's got size. He's not Steph Curry. I mean, Steph Curry came in at like 125 pounds, right? He's big. He's a natural scorer. People keep going back to the Kevin Durant tweet. Oh, he's the greatest scorer on earth. He can play. He can pass. He can score. I think he's a starter. I think he's a potential all-star. I legitimately do.
The praise that we just heard for a man who never averaged more than 7.6 points per game in a single season is absurd. This was the height of Steph Curry mania for prospects, I guess, because people really thought Jimmer was going to be the next Steph Curry. And I feel like Jimmer's complete failure actually hurt Trae Young in the 2018 draft. I actually heard as I was making this video, people say that Trae Young could be the next Steph Curry or he could be the next Jimmer Fredette. That was considered the boom or bust potential of Trae Young, and that is how bad Jimmer was. He was obviously considered the bust in that scenario. And yes, Jimmer has absolutely killed it in China. In fact, between 2017 and 2019, he averaged around 37 points per game. But at the NBA level, Jimmer has been described as selfish and a man who thinks that he should have the ball in his hands at all times. That's not me saying that. That's what scouts have said. That is what other teammates have said. That is what other front offices have said. To put it simply, it seems like Jimmer has a huge ego when it comes to his basketball abilities, and that just didn't work out in the NBA because he simply wasn't talented enough. And here we arrive at the 2009 NBA draft where Hasheem Thabeet was the number 2 pick, and here's what people had to say.
Dikembe Mutombo should be his idol. His calling card is defense, rebounding, extra effort points, contesting around the rim.
Now, I won't crush Jalen too much for saying Dikembe should be Hasheem's idol. He was just saying Hasheem should try to emulate his game and focus on the defensive end. But did you hear this part of that segment?
And his footwork could translate to another great center who played soccer by Hakeem Olajuwon.
ESPN's Len Elmore had the audacity to compare Thabeet to Hakeem Olajuwon. Let's take a look at the historical comparison here. Hasheem played in 5 seasons and averaged 2.2 points per game, while Hakeem played in 18 seasons, averaged about 9 times more points per game for his career, and was a 12-time All-Star, MVP, 2-time Finals MVP, and of course, a Hall of Famer. Len Elmore, this was a big yikes. Moving on in 2009 though, let's listen to Chad Ford talk about this draft in general.
You know, Drew Holiday, DeMar DeRozan, I'm not sure that any of these guys are going to be players in the league, and they might be. They're all young and have upside, but they did nothing. This is a really weak draft, and I would say the 8th pick in this draft is the equivalent of the 18th pick in a normal draft.
So just starting off here, Chad was completely off with this being a weak draft. Sure, the number 8 pick actually happened to be Jordan Hill, who wasn't good, but what Chad Ford meant was that this draft lacked depth. After the 8th pick, we had 12 players in the first round alone who played at least 500 games, which is solid. And of those 12 players, 3 of them were all-stars in DeMar DeRozan, Drew Holiday, Holiday and Jeff Teague. Plus, as you heard, Chad Ford specifically called out two of these guys in Drew Holiday and DeMar DeRozan. DeMar would go on to become a 4-time All-Star, and Drew has not only been an All-Star, but he also just won a championship as the 3rd best player on the Bucks, so this draft was not nearly as weak as Chad Ford thought. And finishing off, guys, with the 2008 draft, this draft had a huge story that came in the form of a single question.
Who would you draft as the #1 pick? Michael Beasley coming from behind Derrick Rose, finishing with 25%.
Let's see what Jay Billis had to say here.
Beasley, the high-scoring lefty. He compares favorably with Derek Coleman.
As it turned out, Michael Beasley did not compare favorably with Derek Coleman in the slightest, as through his first 5 seasons, Beasley put up much worse numbers, especially when it came to rebounding, which Jay Billis specifically mentioned. So while yes, Derrick Rose would end up getting injured, the fact that I'd rather take a single year of Derrick Rose rather than Michael Beasley's entire NBA career says a lot here. And so there we have it, guys. Thank you for watching today's video. Let me know down below what you think the worst draft comparison was. And remember, please like this video. It helps me out a ton with YouTube's algorithm. And if you're not already, subscribe and turn on post notifications so you never miss a video. If you're already subscribed, thank you so much for supporting. You're awesome. We all know it. And as always, have an awesome day, guys, and cue that music. If you're still here while the music is cued, here are 2 videos I think you are definitely going to enjoy. Make sure to click on one of them. Again, I know you're gonna love it. And other than that, have a great day and peace.